Well, think of dating. I mean, what's the first thing that you do when you're on a dating scheme, right? You get in touch with the person, you understand who they are, what makes them tick, what are the synergies, what are the common interests, where you're complementary to that person. It's that deeper understanding of each individual that the publishers have to do, but in a way that doesn't creep them out, and that's an important element. And then you develop the relationship, right? Just like in dating, you get to know somebody, then you become friends, then you become infatuated with a person, then you become engaged, and a longer term commitment. That's the ultimate goal of dating, right? What we've added to the mix is that, yes, as a publisher, you can build those one-on-one relationships with a fair number of readers, but not with all of them. Not every reader is going to commit to you on a long-term basis, but they still want the content. They still want to discover new things. And so the question then comes up, well, who's going to pay for access to that content? And that's when you bring the brands who want to pay on behalf of the passengers, patrons, travelers, what have you. And then the publishers win because their content gets discovered, the content gets monetized. The brands build very meaningful relationships with their readers as well because they provide them something of tangible value and allow them to explore the product that is now associated not just with the publisher but also with that brand. And the reader gets happy because they got at the end of the day what they wanted, what they sought. Imagine you're flying British Airways. Yes, you have an interesting relationship with British Airways, which is very consumeristic, very transient. You bought a ticket, you get on a flight, you get from point A to point B. As an airline, there is more that you can do to provide the passenger with the benefit of choosing BA over another airline. That benefit is giving you a more personalized access to content, not 2 or 3 newspapers that they would have at the gate or have at the lounge, but you may not necessarily speak English. They'll give you a version in Chinese, a version in French, and you get to keep it. The airline just provided something that if you were to go out on the street, you would have to pay for it. Now it's bundled into your ticket. In the world where only a certain percentage of the readership is prepared to pay for content, our focus has been over the past several years to find other sponsors of that content. That's why we've built relationships with hotel groups, airlines, cruise ships, libraries, coffee shops, healthcare, aged care centers, etc. They pay for that content. As a passenger, as a traveler, you get access to that content. Suddenly you've been thrown into a product that seemingly has a lot of content in it. But as an end user, and this is where our tech expertise comes in, as an end user, you don't have to sift through it. You don't have to go and find something. Our job is to understand you as a reader and to surface the relevant content, up to the top, where you become engaged with that content. Now, imagine you're interested in fishing or what have you. You discover something that a particular publication is writing a lot about what you're interested in, fly fishing, for instance. So at some point you might want to say, right, well, what can that publisher do for me as a reader? Is it just providing the content that I will read on a one-off basis? And if that's the case, PressReader, the aggregated, curated platform, is a way forward for me? Or do they offer me some sort of a membership benefit? Do they invite me to events? Is there more that they can give me, or something that's unique to that publisher, which will make me as a reader then think, is it worth for me to invest into a direct one-on-one relationship with that publisher and purchase a subscription or purchase a membership? Okay. And that's the benefit to the publisher. And so, I may disagree with others who place so much emphasis on VR and AR as the next big thing. I think the time will come for those things to become more mainstream and really kind of a mass-use product. I think for 2019 and 2020, those are going to be the year of user retention. So we've built a community of readers. Great. How do we retain those users? You know, what they say is that the cost of customer acquisition is high, and oftentimes you don't get the revenue, the return on that investment that you've placed in a customer acquisition. So what are the ways in which you're engaging with the reader, both in terms of content and in terms of how you communicate with that reader, that will make the reader stay with you longer? So as a company, our focus has been on engagement with all of the content that we aggregate. It's the relevancy that's important, the discovery, certainly the user experience within the product, and that's some of the major changes that we're making to the product line, where you don't have to do the work. I made a reference today to kind of the surprise and delight that I, as the user, get from Spotify's Discover Weekly. You know, where they've built a product that has the free subscription, free registration, as well as the paid for option. And to me, yes, it was about the advertising, the lack of advertising in the paid option. That was one of the reasons why I subscribed. But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that Spotify understands me so well that every Monday they publish Discover Weekly that gives me 30 songs, some of which will I know and some of which I will hear for the first time, that want me, this sort of experience, it really forces me to come back, but in a way that I'm looking forward to doing. So that's the focus for us as a company.